Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit ActiveDay.com to apply.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Yeah, this is actually not Hunt Palmer. This is Abby Alonso. Hunt's on his way to Omaha. Lucky son of a gun. And I'm lucky enough to be graced with Anthony Ranaudo, former LSU
Why'd you say my name like that?
What's wrong with that? I'm trying to hype you up.
I know, that was nice.
We got 2 hours of fun.
I know, you were like an announcer. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my audio right in my ear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Good.
It's just cutting in and out, so you're getting loud, low, but I was just making sure.
We're good to go?
Yeah, but it's good, yeah. Tigers are back in Omaha. Life is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a whole 2 hours of all kinds of College World Series, LSU baseball content on deck.
Two full hours.
Yeah, two full hours. Strap in.
Thank you guys for being here. If you guys are tuning in, appreciate y'all.
And we've got a special guest calling in at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around.
Are you leaving people on the cliffhanger with that?
I am.
Wow. I was just going to spoil the news.
No, don't do it yet.
Are you sure?
Yeah. They got to hang out for at least the next 15 minutes before we say anything.
Before we tell them?
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right. You kind of talked about it. Omaha is on deck starting tomorrow. What are your immediate feelings? I know you like this time of year. You actually love this time of year.
Oh, I nerd out during this time of the year. This is my happy place, yeah. And when LSU is back in it, I mean, it's always better. So I know the people of Omaha are happy. The people of Baton Rouge are happy. I'm happy. Former LSU Tigers are happy. So, yeah, no, it's good. It's a good time of year. I'm excited, yeah. And this team looks good. So, I like our chances. I hate our first matchup. Like, that kind of sucks, but.
You know, there was a lot of talk on social media. Reseed. It's not going to happen. We're going to get a national championship series caliber matchup right off the bat.
Ironically enough, though, on the other side of the bracket, I think there's some hot teams playing too, right? So, I don't know.
Coastal. Yeah, we're going to get into all of that. We're going to preview all of the matchups. But I kind of want to talk about your experience, get people fired up. Former national champion, you've watched greats come through. You've played with greats. You are arguably one of the greats of LSU baseball. I know, don't get too excited. There's not much more of that coming.
There's not too much compliment. There's not too many more. This is it. That's what I'll get it all in 2 minutes. That's good. All right, I'll take it.
I'll butter you up at the beginning, and then that's
good. That's fine. I'll take it.
But
I had my moments.
Do you remember like gearing up to go to Omaha? Because you went twice, but the first time, do you remember gearing up and like what did that take? Like, what did that feel like?
It was unbelievable. And you got to remember too, I was a kid from New Jersey, so ironically enough, I didn't grow up. It was on my TVs, but I didn't watch the College World Series that much because I was really watching the Yankees. Like, let's be honest. I was watching Major League Baseball. I wanted to be Derek Jeter. So, yeah, it was there, but it wasn't my dream at all. So I learned all that in a crash course in a year here, and I fell in love with it, right? And so from the highlight tapes and all that stuff, when I realized it was a possibility, because you got to remember, our freshman year, it did not start off super pretty. So we were struggling, and then we won 23 games in a row, right? Similar to Coastal and where they're at. So it was almost a dream, right? And I barely pitched that year. I had some injuries, and I didn't really factor in the mix, I think I had 13 innings, and that was including some innings at the end where Maneri, got me some experience, I guess, right, type things. But I do remember just being like, this is crazy. And the first year to the second year was the biggest differentiator for me and for everybody else, because no one on our team in 08 had any experience going there. So it was very wide-eyed, right? Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is what we thought about, and dreamed about and talked about. And then, it was over in three games.
Right.
The next year was a lot different.
Yeah, because you brought experience. And we're lucky enough, or I'm speaking from an LSU fan perspective, excuse me, but they have the experience of guys who have won a national championship. So talk about the mindset of, hey, I've been here before. I've won a national championship here. What these guys who were in Omaha in 2023, who were on the team in 2023, how they're entering the series.
Yeah, I think they said there was like eight guys or something like that is on the team. That's a good number that have been to the World Series, right? That's enough leadership, and it's guys like Jared Jones, right? And even guys like Gavin Guidry, who got the last out. I would imagine Jay's I've seen him in the dugout on the top step, so like, it's guys like that are going to coach the other guys that haven't been there up and been like, no, this is what we do. This is it. Like, this is what to expect, right? Even their experience is talking about that for the guys in the clubhouse, in the dugout, on the buses. These guys have somewhat of a taste of what it's like, even if they've never physically been there. So it's going to be less wide-eyed and more business-like. And that's what it was for us. It was like, we touched down and was like, all right, cool. We know where we're going to eat. We know our practice schedule. We know our game schedule. We know, all this stuff. So, and luckily, it all fell in place for us, and we did our jobs out there. So, the second round was a lot better.
Now, you played at the old stadium in Omaha, correct?
Yes.
I'm right on that?
Yeah, I got the old Rosenblatt.
But the atmosphere there is crazy. If you've never been to Omaha, you should go once. Even if your team is not playing, the fan bases that show up, I mean, the whole town, like, everybody's there, and there's so much love. And yes, you're competing and stuff, but it is a fun atmosphere. But there are so many people. It's loud. And when you come from Alex Box, you're kind of prepared for that a little bit because of the crowds that turn out in Baton Rouge. But is there still like some of that nerve? Like, is there, maybe a little bit more pressure? Obviously, it's the World Series, but was that a factor for you guys? And will it be a factor for the team this year?
I don't think so. I think a lot of these SEC schools are prepared, and they played in front of these fans all year. And honestly, it's probably a boost to them. I think it was for us, at least. We were excited about it, especially like I said, having that experience and coming back. It was night and day. And I'm excited to see. We're going to hit the road and go out there and go see the game on Saturday. I haven't been to the new one, so I'm excited to see the new setup, because it was a lot different. And when I was there in 09, talk about a difference too. In 08 and 09, we stayed at, I'm not even kidding, it might have been like a Holiday Inn Express, like no joke. We stayed 35 minutes away from Rosenblatt. It was terrible. So like the bus ride, we were just like dead when we got, it wasn't the same feel. 2009, we were smack in the middle. We had embassy suites. We had the setup. It was almost like they knew. We were like, all right, LSU's going to be here like for 2.5 weeks. And so the embassy suite was a lot nicer setup. We were right in the cut, right downtown. We got to walk everywhere. This was times before Ubers, right, and Lyft and all that. So this was a nice thing to be able to walk to restaurants, because when I tell you, our last hotel was literally in the middle of nowhere. So Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for you to see that. That's crazy. You're normally one step ahead of me with everything baseball related.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, well, give me some. What was your favorite experience of 2023 when you went?
Well, I wasn't supposed to go, and I've shared this story on a couple different podcasts, but I lived in Dallas and covered the NFL at the time, and I happened to be at an LSU bar in Dallas, and one of my best friends was in Houston visiting some of her friends, and we're texting throughout game 1 of the National Championship Series, and she and I played softball together, so we're locked, and I was like, dude, we should have went. She was like, should we? I'm like, yeah. So it's midnight. She makes the drive from Houston to Dallas to scoop me at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. We hop in the car and we drive the 13 hours to Omaha, make it there 5 minutes before first pitch of game 2. And then you know how game 2 played out. So we got our butts kicked and I was like, we made a mistake. We made a mistake, but we ended up figuring it out. We stayed for the national championship and that was a core memory for me. That's something that I will tell my kids about. Like
it's one of my favorite stories that you have. It's like, literally, I'm like that. I'm kind of jealous.
It was just as sporadic and I'm so glad that we did. Yeah. So I'm really pumped for you to experience the environment. Everything's so close. It's right there. And again, I'm biased.
So is like, are all the hotels all around there too? Like you walk everywhere? Is it, I don't like.
I think we stayed a little bit away because it was last minute, but all the restaurants, Rocco's, the Jello Shot Challenge, that place is crazy. Everything's kind of in the vicinity. Okay. Hotels somewhat, but they're probably booked up if I had to guess.
Yeah, I know.
But I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
I'm excited about it.
I am very
really
excited.
Yeah.
Before we get into the nitty gritty, the X's and O's, key players, matchups, I want you to tell me your favorite Omaha story. And I know you have so many. You've shared, when we did Beyond the Box, you shared a couple. But when I ask you that question, what is the memory or the specific experience of your World Series time?
Ooh. That might be the premium content one. My first immediate one is celebrating the championship that night. I'm old enough to say this, I guess now. I was underage, so yeah. It was,
I was gonna see if you were gonna say it.
I'm gonna be honest with you too. I didn't drink in college, so like that whole year I was whatever dry. Like I didn't have a drink, like a drink, not one. I was very superstitious too, like about the year and being healthy and all that stuff. So when the season was over, I had a few beers and I was feeling good, right? Like, but what I remember was everybody staying up till 3 or 4 a.m. and going to this one place. It was an LSU bar, and then opening up the basement and us going to this small room with everybody's friends and family, very small, intimate. But it was a small space, not a small amount of people. So it was like everybody was on top of each other, and we stayed there till 3 a.m. And it was. Parents drink, it was a great time. And so that to me, and everybody walking home after that and then being like, all right, guys, we have to be on the bus in 3 hours. So sleep fast, so that was cool.
What happened the next day?
God.
Yeah, I'm doing it to you.
Oh my God.
Share.
Yeah. So that 3 hour plane ride came very fast. And so when we get up in the air, everybody passes out naturally, right? I get woken up about 30 minutes before we land and Coach Mary's like, hey, I need you to do me a favor. And I was like, all right, coach, whatever. I'm like, my head's pounding. I'm like, I pull my glasses down to look at him. I have my sunglasses on. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, all right, when we land, there's going to be like 5,000 people at the stadium greeting us and all this stuff. They're going to be in the stand. We're going to do a little lap and celebrate with the fans. And so no big deal, but I'm just going to have one representative from each class go up there. So I need you to just go up and speak and talk for a couple minutes in front of everybody. And I'm going to pick you to do the sophomores. And I was like, I think DJ should do it. And he's like, what? No, DJ. And I'm like, Coach, I don't, he's like, you can do it. I know you can. And I'm like, you just dropped, I know you can do it on me on the plate. So I had to go give a speech in front of 5. I don't remember it. There's no way. I'm like, I don't even remember doing it. I have a picture of it, so I know it happened. But so I had to address like Alex Box Stadium, half full when we came back in 2009 on 3 hours of sleep, fresh off the plane, in my championship t-shirt.
I have no doubt you pulled through, though.
I think I did
great
good.
Speech.
I feel good about it.
I'm sure the fans loved it.
Nobody came to me and was like, hey, dude, your speech after Omaha was so bad. So
well, good thing they didn't have the media that we have nowadays. Huh?
That's true, right? Because if there was,
you got a little lucky.
Some YouTube videos out there.
All right. Well, we've got a whole slate of stuff to talk about. You just wrote an incredibly...
Wow.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn. and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve. It's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Deep and well thought out and intelligent article. I will give you your flowers because it is impressive.
I thought you were just going to say incredibly long.
That too. I left that one out. It's a 10-minute read, but it's awesome. About some of the guys on this team, you know, what they bring, their draft position, prospect area type thing.
Yeah.
And I want to get into that with you. I don't know if do we have time before we...
Do we do it now? We'll do it in the next segment.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Let's go to a break. Yeah, this is the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Property and casualty or group employee benefits. Your one-stop shop for all things insurance is, of course, the Highland Insurance Group. If you're a business owner and you don't have a great relationship with your insurance broker, they're just the guy who came with the lowest premium number, that's one way to handle it, but it might not be the best way, especially when something happens. Whether it's a hurricane or a car accident or a cyber breach or a lawsuit or an injury. When that happens, you're going to need your insurance to respond. And if you only have the insurance in place because it was the cheapest one, it may not. Jonathan Carver and his team can be a trusted advisor and a part of your team as a business to make sure that your business continues to run even if the event happens. Give them a call. Or check them out online, HighlandIG.com. They're right here in Baton Rouge, but they can help you out statewide. It's Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
All right, welcome back to the Hunt Palmer Show. Abby Alonso joined by Anthony Ranaudo. If you're just joining us, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for hanging out.
We've got a slate for you. A whole slate of college World Series.
CWS.
We're going to talk about some key players we're going to see this weekend. Talk about the matchups. And now I can tell y'all at around 2:30.
You waited
I waited a whole segment. Didn't I say I was going to wait 15 minutes?
Whole 17 minutes. That was good.
It's okay. Good. You know, we're teaching patience.
Now everybody's just going to tune out until Lewis comes on. Great, thanks.
Lewis Coleman is going to join us at 2:30 to talk about his time in Omaha. And, you know, we don't hear from him too much.
We don't. But if you don't know who he is, probably shame on you, probably. No judgment, though. No judgment. We're not going to shame anybody. But Lewis was the 2009 SEC Pitcher of the Year, 14 wins, did his thing. And he was an integral part of that team because, like we were talking about on the way here, right, he cared about LSU so much and he wanted to come back. It was almost like we wanted to win for Lewis. Like we really, not for him, just for him, but it was like there was this special meaning for him. And like him getting the last out, everything was so, like, it was perfect. So I'm excited to chop it up with him. Yeah.
I'm very excited to hear you guys catch up too.
We had some fun. It was fun being the Friday, Saturday guy with him. Like, and that's why, like, it's cool to see, you know, Cade and Anthony doing that this year. I distinctly remember so many times on the road, you know, because back then there wasn't necessarily the weight rooms and the things that they had now. We would be on the road and, like, visitors' locker rooms and like doing like arm care together and doing things as starters, because we had to. Different routines, but still figuring it out. And Lewis was an awesome leader. Yeah, so it'll be fun to hear his perspective on stuff.
2:30, y'all hang out and you'll get to hear that. That'll be a treat. All right, you just mentioned Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson. Right before we went to break, I talked about the article you just wrote on your website. Let's dive into that because it is well-versed. It's got a lot of great information for LSU fans and college baseball fans. Looking forward to the draft, too. You kind of talk about how LSU is a little bit of an MLB pipeline. And you talked about Cade Anderson, his potential to go number 1 overall, which if you think about how we were talking about him last year, and you were a believer in Cade, you called this last year, literally at the beginning of last season.
I'm going to be honest. I did not call number 1 overall.
No. But what he could turn into or what you thought he was going to turn into. And now recently we're seeing these mock drafts come out more and more with him going number 1 or number 2 even. But I think you even compared his presence a little bit to Skeens. Not necessarily same stuff, but him and Hamels in the article.
Yeah, not Skeens.
Not Skeens?
No, not
Excuse
Skeens.
me.
Yeah, it's all right. Cole Hamels, Robbie Ray.
Yes, Robbie Ray.
Robbie Ray is more of my modern comp, but even Robbie Ray, Robbie is a little bit more of a violent delivery, like a little bit more effort. Cole was more smooth and the ball still exploded out of his hand. And because of that smooth delivery and that smooth arm action, it creates a lot of deception, right? So what I was calling for last year for Cade, the advanced feel for a changeup and the ability to throw that pitch for a strike, get outs, get swings and misses, be able to throw it early in the count as a freshman, as a true freshman, right? Allowed him to get deeper into games than most freshmen because he could keep guys off balance and get quicker outs, and allow him to go deeper into games. So for me, that advanced feel was like, throw him in on Sunday, get him in there, get the experience because he could be the Friday guy next year, right? And I was kind of talking to him pitching at 92 to 94. And he still got swings and misses at 92 to 94 in the top of the zone because of that deception. But now we're talking about him pitching at 95 to 96 and it ticking up at the biggest time of the year on the biggest stages. And so scouts are just salivating, right? So we're seeing this guy catch some crazy momentum. And before the Super Regional, Jonathan Mayo of ESPN or MLB.com had his projection and projected him number 1 overall. So that ascension to me is crazy. The first round comps is not crazy because, like I said last year, I was like, I could see this guy developing. And that's to the point of my article is, you come to LSU and you hope that you develop into this guy, right? But what LSU really does is prepare you for that next level. And when you do it on Friday nights in the SEC, you're going against another stud who's probably going to be a top round pick and against another team that is just as good as some minor league teams, right? So scouts are getting to see you against this top level competition. And when you learn how to win and you learn how to get outs and you get outs the way he is, that's why he's got that momentum, right?
Yeah.
And it's the first overall pick is all about momentum. It is the craziest thing. It really is.
Why? So I want to talk a little bit more about Cade, but I want to go back to something you just said.
Yeah.
Coming to LSU teaches you like how to be that guy and how to be pro ball ready. Why? What about this program throughout its time? Like, what is it about this program that does that?
Yeah. So Jay does a great job of it too. But when I was here, Coach Maneri teaches us how to be men, taught us how to be men, right? So, and in a way that I think is, commendable in a way that I would want to raise my kids too, right? Now, looking back at it at 35 years old. So I think one, we learn how to grow up and be away from our parents. And for a kid from Jersey, right? DJ LeMay, who came from Michigan. We were talking with Micah yesterday, who came from Texas, right? So we're coming from all over the country for all of us to blend together and learn these life skills and to come together as a team where we're all the best in our region and our states and our wherever, our whole lives, right? And come together on this team to figure out how to win. That's really what it's about in college. So in pro ball, they're giving you money and you're an asset and they're developing you because you need to win at the top level and they need an asset to their business. That's really what it is. In pro ball, they have you for 3 years, 4 years, 3 years if you're really good, 4 years if you're, normal, pretty much a normal player, which means that it's a short window to win. And these coaches need to teach kids how to win and compete at the highest level. And so that's what LSU does because you either figure it out or you're transferring or you're on the bench, right? It's really simple. And so that's what these kids on Friday night figure out how to do. And so when a team drafts them, they know that already. they don't have to teach them those intangibles. They don't have to say, hey man, you know, in second and third with one out, I want you to pitch like this because we can't afford a pop-up. We need you to get this strikeout, and you're our Friday night guy, or you're our ace and you have ace stuff and we need you to get that strikeout. He learned that already at LSU because he did against Ole Miss with 2 outs in the 7th at Alex Box with 13 people cheering for him. So to me, that is those are the skills that LSU players and SEC players, but especially LSU, because it is a little different, honestly, here, kind of develop and have a head start on guys in pro ball.
Wow.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And I speak from an LSU fan perspective, but it's the truth. And if you look at the film and the people or the players that have come out of this program, everything you just said reflects that.
Yeah, and Jay keeps that going. Look at the guys that, right? Like we talked about, I was telling you about Gage Jump yesterday, right? This dude was our Friday guy last year, and he's almost like, because we didn't win a national championship or go to Omaha, I remember him because I was like, dude, this kid got so much better. He was coming off Tommy John, right?
Yep.
And he wound up being second round or whatever he was, right? And now he jumped up 20 spots in all of baseball as a prospect, and he's dominating in pro ball.
Yep.
I wonder why. Because he went from the West Coast to LSU, and he figured out how to pitch on Friday night, and now he's got these intangibles, and he's always had the stuff. He's always been that dude, but he comes to LSU and he develops. He gets under Jay Johnson. He learns a lot, the pitching, right? All their systems, and now he's flying.
Even before the show started, you talked to me about Grant Taylor. He just had an outing of what, 3 up, 3 down?
3 up, 3 down. MLB debut, jumped right from AA. Think about that. So he never pitched in AAA, but now that guy didn't even pitch at LSU really because he had some injuries and things like that. But he learned.
I was going to say, who was he around, right? And who was he being coached by in the program?
It's the same people,
like
right? Yep, exactly. He watched Paul Skeen's work every day.
Okay, so let's go back to Cade. You actually said that his changeup was the separator for you.
Well, I said that because I could never throw a changeup. I was terrible at throwing a changeup. Yeah.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, so it's almost like an envy thing. It's like, God, that's beautiful, man. That's so great. I'm like, what's that like? You know, like teach me. But it was funny. Like Ryan Verdugo was always my throwing partner in the offseason. He was a lefty, and he had a nasty changeup. And it would be like first throws of the offseason, he'd be like changeup, and I'd be like, all right, let me see it. And it would be so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, wow, dude. It's like riding a bike, right? First time you throw it, and then he'd be like, try to throw a curveball, and it would be crappy. And then I'd do the same thing on a curveball, and he'd be like, dude, how do you just do that? And I'd be like, well, it's the same thing. You know, like every pitcher has their skill set and those things. So for me, when I watch Cade, it looks like he can do that rolling out of bed. Like he just was born to throw a changeup. And to me, I say that because it's a deception pitch. You watch a game, and if there was no radar, and really maybe there's some more movement on his changeup in the way that the catcher catches in the swings, right? If you know baseball, you can be like, oh, that was probably changeup by the way the guy swung. But other than that, it looks exactly like a fastball. And that to me is what a good changeup is. I couldn't do it because I'm like trying to fly open. I just struggled with it. It was a struggle, right? So.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
For him to be able to do that, command it, that's the biggest thing. So when you can throw it for a strike, because the ability to be 1-1 in a count or 2-1 in a count and not have to throw a fastball is a crazy ability, you know, and to be able to do it in big moments and be able to throw that pitch and pitch off of that pitch makes his fastball that much better too. And he gets away with more with his fastball. So to me, that was always something that he had an ability to do. And what I've always seen is true starters in the big leagues need some sort of changeup. Like that's it. Like whether it's a split, something, like if you look at any good pitcher, for the most part, it's never really fastball, breaking ball, unless you have 2 or 3 different breaking balls.
Yeah, well,
and you can throw 4 of them, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, a starting pitcher needs some sort of like deceptive, something that looks just like the fastball, and then it's just, 5 to 10 miles an hour slower. So Cade had that. He always had a good sweeper type breaking ball, and then he added that cutter thing this year, whatever it is, and he's got a true 4-pitch mix.
Well, not even just talking about his tangible skills, his maturity on the mound. Talk to me a little bit about that and why you said you could see him in the show in 2026.
Yeah, again, it goes back to kind of the things you learn, the skill sets you build as a Friday night pitcher. And when I say maturity, it's not like he's always pouting about a strike 3 call, right? Like you don't see that from him, obviously, but no really great pitchers do that anyway. So it wasn't necessarily the maturity. It was more the situational awareness. To me, that's like, baseball IQ and that kind of stuff. Maturity, right? Maturity is Cade not being cocky in the super regional game against West Virginia when he gets a big lead and saying, I got to strike out everybody, and his pitch count is super high after 4 innings, and he's striking out everybody, but he's at 100 pitches, and now we have to use 3 pitchers or 4 pitchers in game 1 because he wants to get strikeouts and dominate before the draft, right? This kid was like, we're up, I'm getting outs, right? He struggled a little bit, and he got hit around. I would rather tip my cap to a kid going after guys when you have a big lead and let them beat you with the bats, because we watch BP and hitters get themselves out, right? So maturity is like, cool, I have the lead. My job as a starting pitcher is to leave this game with my team in a position to win the game or ideally be winning. And that's what he did, right? So that's what I've seen from Cade. The game, he lets the game come to him and reads kind of what he needs to do. We have a big lead. All right, cool. I can pitch to contact. I can do what I need to do to get my team back in the dugout. Do I need to be super fine tonight and we're going to win 1-0 and I'm going to be precise? He locks in even more, right? So that's kind of what I see from Cade as situational awareness, understanding what pitcher he needs to be in what situation.
He's got the feel.
Yeah, it's max feel, yeah.
All right, we're going to head to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Jared Jones, Anthony Ianson, some other guys on the team that we could get some more insight.
Let's go. Let's dive in.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Whenever I say remodel, you might think, oh, that's a huge project, going to cost a fortune, going to take forever, have to leave my home. Well, that stuff can happen, but that's not really what we're talking about here. To further that point, let's just talk about something simple like a tub to shower conversion. That's not massively expensive. That's not super invasive. That's not super time consuming. It's a simple process that can be done if your bathtub is not used, if it's old and dingy, if it's not functional. You take that bathtub out, put in a glass walk-in shower. It changes the aesthetic, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds value to your home. And David Vaughn and his team can help you with it every step of the way. They handle everything. You don't call him and then call the guy to handle this part, and this guy handles the floor. And one contractor, one call. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation and get that process started today. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online. onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
How are you feeling about the music today?
I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Last time we did Miss
Oh yeah, I was gassing Musa up about it, so
he's a
great
fan.
job. Are we picking the music? Is it random music today, or is this always
it's random?
It's random. Nice.
Yeah.
It's good. Killing
I was
it.
dancing a
We
little
like
bit.
it. Yeah, I was bobbing.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Hunt Palmer Show. I'm Abby Alonso, Anthony Ranaudo, right here next to me, breaking down the College World Series, LSU baseball, and even a little bit of the MLB draft and what we got to look forward to.
Boom.
If you were hanging out with us, we just talked a lot about Cade Anderson, what he brings to the team, where we're going to see him go, being a #1 overall prospect.
I think
incredible.
Remember we were talking on the way here too. I think I'm going to give a little insight into my experience. Again, it was limited at the time, but that's real, in the sense of like me being projected with Bryce and all that stuff. Like
Bryce Harper, in case listeners were wondering. Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2010, I was telling Abby there was a time that I was considered for the #1 overall pick. This was before the season, before I had an injury, but going into that college season, even the first couple of draft projections, I was #2 after Bryce. So there was conversation about me going #1. And so the things that I learned, about what a team looks for at a #1 overall pick, the things my agent kind of coached me up about, right? And my advisor about like the things that they're going to look for in the draft and like that are going to be, I guess KPIs, right? Like what I learned in business, key performance indicators of like why they would want that guy to be #1 overall, right? So yeah, interesting. Yeah, and I think like the more I think about it, I'm like, damn, there's some really good insight into that, and I think it would be really cool, especially with Cade just being in that conversation, for people to be like, how did he get in that conversation, right? Like why is he all of a sudden jumping in there, and then what could make the team want to pick him or not, right? Like, yeah, it'd be interesting.
Because the first article that I read, it was Jonathan Mayo who I think said it first in his mock draft that Cade would go 1 overall. And I remember being shocked, but as I thought about it a little bit more, it made sense. And now everybody's kind of getting in that same page. So I think it's interesting to hear it from that perspective of like, how did what?
Yeah, he was in the conversation. And like for the last 2 mock drafts leading up to the one before Super Regionals, it was like, yeah, there's some conversations about like Cade, he was kind of on the outskirts of like, some college arms might be in the mix, like including Cade Anderson,
Right.
But it was never, and nobody made him the pick in the mock draft until this most recent one that Jonathan Mayo did. Now I've seen some other ones come out since then too, and they have, Cade at number 2. So again, right, it's all nobody knows. It's going to come down to
mock draft season is chaotic. Yeah. We'll put it that way.
And there's going to be 15 more of them until whenever the draft is, like July. It's like a month away. Yeah.
Okay, well, Cade is not the only one in that article. Much as I think Jared Jones is in round 1 in a couple of those mock drafts. Am I wrong? Or falling into 2?
So I think before the season he was a little higher going into the year, and I think it was because I think some scouts were looking for some certain things, and I don't think he had a bad year. I think he went through a little slump towards in the last couple of weeks, but that's where I wrote in the article, if he had a great, a good regional, super regional, if he shows well in Omaha, that's what these guys have a different opportunity than when I played was. The draft was June 6th or something. It was like usually the regional weekend. So you would have the SEC tournament to like make your name for yourself, and that was brutal. Yeah, that was it. So he has an opportunity to go, if he hits 2 or 3 homers, they win the championship and he wins College World Series MVP. You don't think that that's going to play a factor into a team's decision to pop him number 1 or in the first round? No, I don't think he is a top 25 pick. I'm talking like value picks, 25 plus, where teams like this guy could be a guy that hits 35 homers, right? Like if we teach him a few things in pitch recognition and stay more consistent driving through the middle and the opposite way. And that's kind of what I talked about in my article. But for me, the jump that he made this year, we talked about it when we hosted Matt's show a month and a half ago. To me, that's what I've seen enough. If I were a talent evaluator, right, I'd be like, guys, again, it's, it would be, if I were a scout, I would hand it up to my GMs and be like, you guys go make the decision. But this guy fits in the late first round to 3rd round fit for me.
Is that he's always had the power, but is it the discipline that helped him make that jump?
For me, it's pitch recognition, right? So for a guy that's that big and played football in Georgia growing up, right, he's not playing baseball year round. Right. So that to me is the reps that he missed and that he just needs to catch up on. And then when you're a freshman and you dominate, you hit 12 homers before SEC play, and then you get exposed in SEC play, that tells me the big boys are throwing you spinners and breaking balls, and they figured out how to get you out, which means you have holes in your swing, which is not uncommon for 6'4" power hitters, right? Like we watched Aaron Judge be a 30th, whatever, he got drafted late in the first round because it was the upside of the power of I don't think anybody ever projected what we're seeing right now, right? Like you can never project that high, but we were hoping he could hit 40 homers a year, and that's what he developed into, right? When they were happy if he was going to hit 270, and he's obviously doing better than that. And so that for me is like the upside that you have is you don't have raw power like Jared Jones, and the swing path that he has and combined with the size that he has, and knock on wood, right? Hasn't had injuries, which means that his body probably stacks right and moves well. So for me, those things all check out. Now, all his analytics and how he performs in the pre-draft and all that is going to determine it. But yeah, pitch recognition is more about reps and just recognizing, oh, that's a slider, I need to go the other way, versus like, oh, that's a heater and I'm pulling off, right? And I'm taking a big swing and striking out.
Right. And it's very clear he's made a jump from last season to this season and just being pitch recognition and discipline at the plate. On the way here, we were kind of just reading some articles. Anthony Ianson, you saw a mock draft.
I was all fired up about this.
Oh, I'm gonna give it to you. You called it. I think you were one of the only ones to put out written proof of this shot call, I guess. But Anthony Ianson slipping into the first, sneaking, guys, sneaking into the first. What?
Well, this one had him at
28,
38, I think.
38.
Yeah, 38.
I swore you said 28.
I might have said 28. It might have been 28. It was 28.
Oh, I was right.
It was 28. Yeah. It was 28. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, that's, to me, And again, this game, this is what we talk about. He comes to LSU. Now he's pitching on the biggest stage. He has proven that he can compete at the highest level of college baseball. Why wouldn't you take that proven arm? And if you're a team that values certain things like, hey, he can do a little bit of both. He can close. He can be a reliever. He could maybe develop into a starter if we get him into our system and teach him this pitch, right? That to me is the biggest advantage that certain teams have. Then you see it in the big leagues. I've told you this, like the way that the Giants do reclamation projects, like it's definitely happens in the draft where teams have the analytics of the guys and they're like, why doesn't he throw more four-seam curveballs? Oh, wait, we need to get him in our system and teach him, right? Like he has all the right numbers. Now we just got to give him the system. So I think he's one of those guys that could fit that. And again, I don't know all his analytics and I don't have the experience in the front office to be like, oh, when I see these numbers, I know he's this guy, right? So that's what they have up there, and they have experts that do that.
Talk about, and we'll get into it a little bit more in depth later when Lewis is on the show with us, that 1-2 punch of having Cade Anderson and then Anthony Ianson. What kind of, I mean, we know what kind of value, but like going into Omaha, how much does that play into this matchup with Arkansas? And we'll preview that a little bit later on in the show, but just as we're talking about him, that dual threat right there.
You know, I've been fortunate enough to be on some radio shows and talk LSU baseball and talk sport, college baseball a lot. And, that comes obviously, I was fortunate enough to be on that team that won the national championship. So people, like to know what it was. And I do always say that. I think and I'm not just because I was part of it, but our pitching staff, we weren't like crazy great that year. We had guys that rose to occasions and came and went in different roles, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was me on Friday night and Lewis either closing that game, but for the most part, he was pitching Saturday, and then Mattiot is your closer. And we had a few key relievers that were our like 4 or 5 guys. But other than that, everybody knew their roles and played it, right? But the key was 1 and 2 and closer, right? You got to have the ability to have 2 good starters. You got to have the ability to close down games, and I think we have that. I think we have the end of the bullpen. So that's what I've been talking about all year, is this team is built to go to Omaha, is built for a super regional, 100%. That's why I was like, if we get to a super, we're going to Omaha. And then and again, this matchup kind of stinks for them, obviously, right? But you win game 1 and you're in the driver's seat, because then they play Monday against UCLA, I believe. Is that right? Do we know that? But I think it's UCLA potentially. And then you got, like I said, Anthony Ianson going against a West Coast team. I love my chances there, right? Then you don't play again until Thursday to get in the championship game. Everybody's rested, like the bullpen, all the guys, right? All the key arms. You got Kason Evans, right? We've seen what he could do. You have Chase Shores performing and doing the things that he did, right? So they have options. And then Cooper Williams and the way that he pitched out of the pen, like that to me is what they were set up for. And it starts really with the 1-2 punch, because when you have 2 starters that are going 6 and 7 innings every single time, you're minimizing that need to have a bunch of arms out of the bullpen, right? So that's what I see from them.
You mentioned Kason Evans, and I want you to explain why you're so high on him, because you wrote another article about him. You're just typing away, giving people info. I'm
just throwing it out there.
It's great.
Yeah, if you guys are interested, she is. My website's anthonyranaudo.co. You guys can go check them out. I just basically brain dump because just where I'm at in life right now, I have a little bit more free time and taking some time away from my businesses, and this is my favorite time of the year. So really just sharing. I've been enjoying connecting my stories and experiences with this current team and like making the relation, and it's been a cool little journey for me.
Back to Kason Evans though. Talk about him, and then maybe Rizzy a little bit too. Just what are you seeing from these other guys that can they have a pivotal role in Omaha?
First of all, these kids that come in nowadays are like Maverick Rizzy. I'm like, how did you end up on campus? Like, you're 6'9" and you throw 99. Like, what? How did a major league team not write you a blank check and say, hey, look, let's just go to work and let's go figure this out over the next 3 years, 4 years, because you're going to be in the big league. So Rizzy, right, is that guy. And then Kason Evans, I mean, his stuff, he's not like as physically imposing as Rizzy, but what he did on that Monday game in the regional against Little Rock was one of the most impressive things I've seen. And then to say he was pitching in high school baseball a year ago, I'm like, get out of here. Because what he did was just understand the moment, right? He understood what the stadium needed, what the team needed. And if this team wins a national championship, it's those kinds of performances that we look back on and it was like, I was at that game. We were going to lose that game if it wasn't for the way that he came back and picked up the pace and decided, no, it's our game. I'm controlling the pace. Their coach isn't calling timeouts. They're not taking their full 20 seconds. Get in the box. That's what I love. Yes. And then he's got the stuff to back it up, right? And then you strike out 9 in a row at a point. Like, you're like, okay, you're pretty good, right? 95, 96, good slot. Like, he commands the zone and he's got that energy and presence. So for me as a true freshman to be able to do that, and he did it against Tennessee, right? Like, we've seen big moments from this kid. He's set up to have success in Omaha.
Kid looks like Tony Vitello.
He does. It's crazy.
The picture behind me right here. I had to point it out because they look like doppelgangers.
It really is kind of creepy.
Wild.
Yeah, it is really. When he has his beard like really trimmed, like Tony, it's really wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, we'll head to break. When we come back, maybe a little Derek Curiel talk.
All right, let's do it.
We'll start previewing some College World Series matchups.
I like it.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Safety, probably a big deal if you're in the market for a vehicle. If you go shop at Genesis of Baton Rouge, you will know that you're getting behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road, because every single model on the line, every single model was a IIHA top safety pick. Some of them were top safety picks plus. So from the entry level to the highest end, you're talking about a car that is among the safest on the road. It's a big, big deal. So you start there, then you go check out the style, the comfort, all those bells and whistles that come with a luxury brand of vehicle. That's all there for you at Genesis of Baton Rouge. And if you make a purchase, every single purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Every single purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. It's all there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. I invite you to go by and see them. Airline at Pico across from Women's Hospital, or start your process today online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Welcome back to the Hunt Palmer Show. Hunt is on his way to Omaha. I'm Abby Alonso, Anthony Ranaudo. We're holding it down for him. Of course, talking College Baseball World Series. We've been given some in-depth analysis of some of LSU's key guys and even a little bit of their draft stock breakdown type thing. And there's one more player we haven't gotten to yet, underclassman, not eligible until next year, but Derek Curiel. I think you even said he should have won SEC Freshman of the Year. Oh,
Look
wow.
at this picture.
Sleeveless.
Wow. That's awesome. That's great. No, I definitely think he should have won SEC.
Yeah. But you comped him to a young Christian Yelich. You want to break that down?
Yeah, he does. He reminds me of, Christian Yelich.
Kind of looks like him a little bit.
Does he?
Picture.
I can
a
see
little
it.
bit.
I could see
like
it.
if you glance.
Yeah, I could see it. But their frame, even their batting stance, like where they hold their hands and like the way that Christian, like, so I played against Christian in Greenville, the Greenville Drive in 2011. We were both 2010 draft. He was a late first rounder. But again, right? They saw the projection in Christian. He was 6'3", but he was so skinny. And I was like, this is the first, but then he started taking swings and I was like, oh, he's got a beautiful swing, right? And to me, what we noticed, and again, it was one weekend, right? So you see a guy in 9, 10, 11 at-bats, but you see him play the game. And so what I noticed from Christian was, again, maturity he was 19 or 20 in that league, right? As fresh out of high school. He wasn't trying to hit home runs. His hand-eye coordination and bat-to-ball skill set was so impeccable at that age. I was like, oh my God, and the way he recognized pitches. So I pitched against him and you're just like, you're thinking he's going to react a certain way. And when he doesn't, you're like, wow, did you oh, no, I didn't fool him. Oh, he recognized it, right? So that to me is what I see in Curiel. Now he does a little too much with the hand animations for me. I'm like, dude, can you just recognize the pitches? Like, you don't have to tell everybody. We see it. We know it's away. The umpire called it away. You don't have to do it. But I think that just speaks to his recognition of the pitches, right? Like, and he sees pitches really well. He's super disciplined at the plate. It's why he's been leadoff most of the year, right? And he makes contact.
Super quick. What do you think his role is going to be in Omaha? If you had to guess, how is he going to play?
I'm going to be honest. I'd keep it in the 7 hole after the way that he did when Jay shook up the lineup the other night. Like, who cares? Like, he performed great, right? But that's what he is. Again, that's what this team is. They understand their role. They understand what they need to do. So when he was in the 7 hole, he was like, this is my position. And he sprayed some balls around the field. He had a little different approach than when he did leading off, right? So it's really where Jay puts him in the lineup. He is a huge asset to that team because of that ability and his baseball IQ, and I think that's why I'm so high on him going into the draft and potentially being a first rounder. Speaking
a little bit on the role, everybody knows their role type deal. Bats got a little cold recently. What
are you talking about? They scored 28 runs in 14. Okay. I know.
Hang on a second.
And to be fair to her, a lot of those runs were off of walks and hit by pitches.
Hey, Jacob had my back. Let's go. He knew. I know you're just messing with me. You're just messing with me. But when you mix up the lineup and you have a roster and guys that are able to be like, all right, cool, new lineup. Like, let's see if this works. Like, what is that, the team mentality? Like, how significant is that in the College World Series?
It was one of the things I said on Jordy Holberg's show a month ago was this team seems like it has winning DNA, right? And it does what it needs to do to win. So that to me is really what it's about in Omaha anyway, right? So whether you're batting seventh, whether you're batting leadoff, whether it doesn't matter. And again, that's what I always said about 09. Like we had some superstars on that team, but everybody was like, it's about the win. So it doesn't matter who's getting up in the order. We're pumped for that dude. And that's all that really matters because we know we're going to get the win anyway.
That's a big difference maker.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to go to another quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to start previewing matchups for Omaha and Lewis Coleman calling in at 2:30. So make sure you stick around. This is the Hunt Palmer Show. I'm Abby Alonso, Anthony Ranaudo. We're having fun. We'll see you soon.
The Hunt Palmer Show.